Hello and welcome back to the show, Overcoming Impossible Odds. My name is Chris Boyles. Today we're going to go over a topic that I've had a problem with for a long time, many years, dyslexia. What is dyslexia and what does it do? Dyslexia is a form of a learning disability that you may be familiar with. I have my phone with me today. And this is the definition. I'm going to put it on the screen for you right now. Difficulty reading due to problems identifying speech sounds and learning how they relate to letters and words. Also called a reading disability. So, if you had a problem with dyslexia, you most likely have a learning disability. Now, I am going to disclose that I am not a doctor or a teacher. Now, this is coming from my life's point of view. I've had a learning disability pretty much all my life. Now, dyslexia can come in the form of seeing letters and numbers backwards. For instance, if you see 69 or 96 backwards, 38 or 83, or 71 and 17. And the reason for it for me is I see it as how they're curved. 3s and 8s almost look like the same thing. 7s go in the shape of a 1, and 6s and 9s are opposite of each other. At the same time, a VCR and VHS, because of the letters, can be backwards for me too. So I do have a problem with letters and numbers. I get them confused. The other thing that might confuse you or make it frustrating is dyslexia comes in the form of reading for many people. So if a teacher or somebody puts a book down in front of you and you're looking at the page and you're reading what's inside there, you're probably going to have a hard time with pronouncing the words like I did. I had a hard time sounding out the letters, and sometimes what happened is growing up, I learned that I didn't know that PH was a sound for F, or the word comb had a B in it that was silent. That was my problem growing up with dyslexia. At times, somebody would actually turn a book and turn it upside down, and they could read from right to left, upside down. I do have that at a certain degree. If I saw in a mirror or in a restaurant somewhere, I walked up and I could read from right to left, not like you could normally. I could read if it said this was the day that the Lord has made or something like that, I could read that because I would be able to take the letters, even though they were upside down, and I could form them in my mind to make a word which made a sentence. At the same time, if you had this problem like I did, words would actually move on the screen. I saw letters move, not in the sense of physically moving on the page. And somebody could say, how would letters move on the page? Well, somebody has this dyslexia. What happens is sometimes when the lines are too close on the page, like a book, they're not double spaced. The lines are too close. They can start to jumble together, and our minds play tricks. And that's what dyslexia means. Now, for other people, they have a hard time sounding it out. The brain and the tongue are not communicating, and you're having a speech problem. You're not able to sound out words, or you can't read the word. You don't know what that word means, or you don't know how to pronounce that word. I have had always, in my life, I have always had speech problems, and I have always had grammar and spelling problems. So I'm that person that relies on the spell check on your cell phone or on Word, or even in the email. I'm that person that has that issue. And then I'm sitting there wondering whether or not, do I put a period or do I put a comma after an and or a but or something? So I have that issue with the dyslexia problems that, you're sitting there and you're trying to read something. And I also had this issue too, where I, as a student, in the early 90s or in the late 80s, was given a book because the cell phones, they weren't, they weren't designed then. I had to read out of a book, and the books really bored me because I didn't know this, but I was a visual learner. I was a visual person. I learned through videos and DVDs and VHS tapes back in the day. I would go and, to your video stores when they had them, and you would rent VHS tapes and DVDs to bring home. And not all of them were just movies, but some of them were educational documentaries about a person's life or whatever. And I would learn through vision and hearing. So another way to help you with dyslexia is a lot of you out there have the audiobook, and you listen to audiobooks because you get more out of the pleasure of listening to the author read his book than you would sit there and actually go page by page by page. I would probably get about 2 or 3 chapters into a book, put it down, and I would never pick it up and read it again because I lose interest very, very quickly. That's part of the ADD, ADHD tendencies I still have is I'll try to read a book. If it really interests me and grabs my attention, I will pull the book out and I'll have to read chapter by chapter, and I'll have to really discipline myself and have to, sit in a comfortable chair and really discipline myself. And some books will make you emotional, some books will make you laugh, and some books will make you cry, depending on whether it is. But for me, I had a hard time reading books because if the problem is from the page of the book to my brain, I just would never get it. It took lots of concentration, lots of focusing to get the information from the book. That's why when I was in high school, I had the worst time getting my homework done because I would, get off the bus, go home and watch, your favorite TV shows and forget all about doing my homework. I was bored with a lot of classes in school, and the learning disability and the ADD didn't really help with that too much. And maybe I'm relating with somebody listening to this that, people with dyslexia or ADD, they learn in a different way and a different path. And sometimes they talk differently. They walk in a different way, and they express themselves in ways that everyday people who don't have this function and operate. And most of the time, the people who have dyslexia, they're not dumb or stupid. They're pretty smart people. They just think they learn with vision, colors, video, audio, and some people can sit down and literally go through a book in an hour that would probably take, normal everyday people, 3 months to read a book. A person might be able to just sit there and read a book straight from cover to cover because that's the way they're made. That's the way they're designed. So dyslexia is a form of a learning disability that I used to have. Now I still have traces of that. And what that means is I'm a lot better. I can read better these days. I can spell better these days. I have caught my punctuation when I'm trying to email people. And, when you're running a company, you have to make sure that if you're not sure that, words aren't spelled right or not accurate for the place and thing that you're talking about, that getting a ghostwriter, somebody else to do it for you, would make sense at this point. That they would have the knowledge and the ways to, talk in a way that you need to express yourself or your company or your job. So I hope I have helped you with the fact that, and the best way to work with a person who has dyslexia, first of all, you have to have a lot of patience, and you have to realize that they're going to learn differently than you are, and they're not going to pick up as quickly as you are. They're going to have to be patient on reading a sentence, and they may not get what is on the page the first time around. It might take them 7 attempts to read the lines, the sentences in the paragraph, in the book, on the page, whatever. It might take them a few times because it didn't operate that way with me. So I hope that I've helped you with understanding that, I look at it as this: put your hand up to your face, and one part of the eye sees the back hand, and the left part of the eye sees the inner hand. Okay, so you almost have to learn how to separate numbers. So if you're looking at it, a 69, it could be swapped as a 96, or a 38 could be an 83 in your mind. Your mind swaps it without you even knowing it. And, 7 and a 1 or a 1 and a 7. I've had where I was delivering and I had addresses that said 838 and then 383, and all of a sudden I'm grabbing the wrong thing and delivering the wrong stuff. And that can easily happen. Even on a test, you're taking a test and you have to realize you've memorized your subject and your sources to take this test, and all of a sudden now they have numbers and letters that are similar to what you studied, and then you're thinking, okay, is it 838 or is it 83? And now you're questioning yourself as to how do I separate that? How do I get the letters, how do I get the letters to work with my mind and pronouncing the words? Sometimes with me, my tongue will not connect with my brain, and I can't pronounce certain words. I had a problem with Minority Report, which is a movie, for a long time. Anybody can just say that. I couldn't pronounce that because the back of the tongue, Minority Report, has to bounce on the top of your mouth in order for you to pronounce the first part of that word. Not a lot of people understand that your tongue has to operate correctly in order to get the sound and the word to come out of your mouth the way it does. So I just wanted to pass this along to you, and I hope that this helps you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below, and I will try to answer them for you. Thank you and have a great day. God bless. Bye-bye.